one of the more unhinged things that I've ever done in The Sims, but I spent years collecting 1,000 graves in my legacy challenge and then built a cemetery to fit them all. In fact, I'm actually understating it because there's 1,001 graves on this lot. And in this video, I want to talk to you a little bit more about why I did this and then also show you how I built it. We're gonna do it down here on the Eternal Hollow Cemetery lot in Ravenwood. This one is 64 by 64 and it's also already a cemetery, so it's a good place to start. With the default cemetery, there's not really space for that many graves. There's a few of these fancier plots. They've got a couple graves right here, but considering how big the lot is, there really aren't that many headstones on this one. So I'm gonna bulldoze the whole thing because we're gonna need a lot more space if we're gonna build our graveyard here. And before I show you the speed build, I've got a quick announcement for you. I've just released some new merch and it's available for pre-order right now. You can get it on lilsimsie.shop and I'll have that linked down below. There's a really cute crew neck, a couple of t-shirts, there's a really beautiful mug, and we also have a pillow that you might have been seeing behind me for the past couple of months. I've been a little bit sneaky there, just like using it in my own background. And lastly, also a really, really cute blanket. It's been so hard for me to like keep this in because people ask me questions about stuff like this sometimes. And I literally saw somebody in my Twitch chat just the other day recommend that I make a blanket as merch. And I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. maybe we could try that. Meanwhile, I had the thing like sitting right next to me. Anyway, it's available for pre-order now until April 10th. The pre-orders will close on April 10th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. And then those items that are pre-ordered will ship in about 8 to 10 weeks. But you can only get it now. It will go away once the pre-order ends. So I just wanted to make sure you knew about it when it was still available. And like I said, you can find all of that on lilsimsie.shop. That is my only merch website. Any other place is not me and is not real. But with that being said, let's get back into the game and I'll show you how I built this graveyard. So my step one was to put a big fence around the whole thing and then experiment a little bit with the pathways because there are 2 entrances to this lot, or at least it looks like there's 2 entrances to this lot. And so I wanted to connect them up and also use them as if they're like actual fancy gated entrances. And then I wanted to have a kind of cool curvy path that goes through the whole place. I also wanted to have a pond somewhere. I wanted to have some kind of building that you could use to host a funeral here if you wanted to. I wanted to have kind of like a fancy area for the graves that are actually from my Legacy Challenge family. And then I also wanted to have a place to put all of the other ones. So I was a little bit honestly surprised at just how much space my graves took up. I went into this thinking like it's a 64 by 64 lot. I really didn't think that it was gonna be a problem to lay them out at all. And then I was humbled quickly when I started placing them. But this is kind of an interesting build because you're gonna see me take all the graves off of my other house lot, bring them here, place them all down, you know, do a lot of landscaping. Most of this video is landscaping because it's mostly outside the entire place. It's kind of like a park in some ways. And I sort of furnish the exterior like a park. I've got things like chess tables and there's some benches and stuff like that too. But to address the elephant in the room, why do I have 1,000 graves in this save file? So this is the save that I used to play on my Twitch streams, and I started it by playing a regular 10 generation legacy challenge. I played the whole thing, and then I decided to play the Not So Berry challenge, but I kept playing in the same save. So like the Gen 11 sim was the Gen 1 sim of Not So Berry, and I ended up playing a full 20 generations in this save with those sims for that challenge. And I guess I played up to 21 because I kind of made up my own pretend rainbow generation as the last one. So I had been playing in this save for a really long time, both in game and also in real life because it takes a long time to play 21 generations. So over the years, I naturally just started getting a bunch of graves. Like I just had a bunch from my own sims that were living on my lot. Because you think about it, you know, I have my founder, I have her partner, they had 4 kids, they had like 2 pets. The kids had partners, then those kids had kids, and all of a sudden you've got this huge family and they're all dead. So I had all of those graves. But also over time, as you're playing in game, all of the other townies die too. So like Nancy Landgrab, Eliza Pancakes, their whole families. Maybe they adopted pets with story progression or had kids. So the other townies are also living and having a bunch of sims in their households, and they're also all dying. And typically when a townie dies, it just leaves their graves on their lot, and you'll either find them in the far corner of the lot. I've seen it in the back right corner and the front right corner before, or they'll be just behind their front door inside. There's like a bunch of urns in there. So I would go on these things that I called grave hunts, and I would just go to a bunch of different lots. Basically, I would check every single lot in the entire game periodically, and I would just take all of the graves that were there. And I would get like 4, 5, 7, sometimes 8 graves just from the one lot, sometimes even more than that. And I would simply bring them all home with me and put them in my front yard. So at first it was like 10 and my Twitch chat would be like, oh my God, you have so many graves. And then it was like 50. And then very quickly it became like I had hundreds of graves and it was the entire front yard. And I was living on like a 30 by 20 lot and it was taking up all the space in the yard. And we kept joking about how funny it was to have more graves than yard and how I wanted to have like the entire lot full of them at some point in the future. And I took that plan really seriously. And then as we started getting more and more, I was like, wouldn't it be so fun if we got up to 1,000? Like, what if we had exactly 1,000 graves? And so that became my next goal. And towards the end of it, I was running out of Sims that had graves naturally. So I kind of had to like intervene a little bit and eliminate some Sims myself to get a couple of extra graves. But we made it and we finally had the full 1,000 that I was aiming for. And then of course I wanted to build a fancy lot to put them all on because I had done all this work to get them all. And that brings us to today. So right now I am on my Sims regular lot. This is just my house that I live in. You can see all the graves that I have piled up on the side over here. So I'm taking them all and putting them back in my inventory. These graves on this side are a little bit less than half of them. We're gonna put those down first and then I'm gonna add some more in later. But those graves are like the not me graves. These are graves from like randoms that I don't really care that much about. I tried to separate them so I could have the Sims that I actually knew be in a more, I don't know, higher priority place, both on my own lot and also here. But like generally when I would build a new house for this legacy, I would place maybe like all of the graves I didn't know on the left side of the house and the ones that I did know on the right side, so I knew that they were separate. Because this is just, you can't manage this. It's the only way to be able to do it. But every single townie that was ever in The Sims 4 is in this pile, and also a bunch of randoms as well. Like a bunch of randomly generated Sims and like their kids and stuff like that. Now we're back and we're getting some more graves that I had in the back of the house. This was funny on this lot because we're like so many of them. It really took up the entire lot. Like you can see me taking them down right now. And imagine how long it took me to place these things in the first place. You also have to be kind of careful because if you put them like in your household inventory, sometimes it breaks the connection between the Sim and the grave and it just like has like a blank name. You can't see who it is anymore. So there are ways that you could try to do it. Like people recommend maybe trying to place them on a room and like moving the room all at once. I found that it was safer for me to place them in my inventory like this. It also is quicker because it's easier to put them back into your household inventory because you can just like hold backspace and put them in there. But to take them out, I find the household inventory and build mode to be quite laggy, but doing it this way from my Sims inventory isn't really laggy at all. I don't know why I'm giving you tips as if you're gonna wanna do this too, but that's what I've learned in my long experience of having a lot of graves in my Sim save. I have also since started playing in a new legacy challenge. I'm playing the Very Veggie Legacy Challenge now on Twitch. I'm significantly earlier into the legacy right now. I only have 41 graves at this point, and I've also had a lot more trouble with taking the graves from other lots. I found that when I try and drag them, I can only drag about half. Like if I go on a grave hunt and I visit, you know, the Spencer Kim Lewis household, maybe they have 8 graves in their yard, I can take 4 and the other 4 don't let me bring them with me. And I've always had trouble with like some of them being like stuck in some ways, but it's been worse lately. So it's not as easy to get all these graves like it used to be, but hopefully they'll fix it at some point. Anyway, this is like the bulk of the whole lot. You can see we've almost placed all of them. I'm trying to fill in pretty much the entire area right here with as many graves as I can. I also have this really nice sweepy path that I put like trees around, and I have some fountains. And then in this back left corner, I guess it's the back right corner now. It's the back right corner of the front of the lot. I don't know, whatever. The place that I'm working on right now, I'm gonna have a couple of mausoleums. I don't think I ended up putting any graves inside of the mausoleums, but I liked how they looked, so I wanted to use them. And then next to them, I'm gonna have the graves of the Sims that I actually know. So this is me trying to figure out how I wanna lay all of that out. These graves are the ones from the legacy, and I wanted to have like a fancy area to put all of the actual legacy Sims, so like the legacy heirs could have a nice dedicated space. And then I wanted to have another separate section for the occults, and also one for the ones that are like vaguely related to legacy Sims, you know, like legacy Sims 4th son or whatever. So anyway, that was how I was trying to lay it out. It was really hard for me to fit all of these things, but I kind of managed here, and now we're just starting to figure out how we're gonna place all the fancy graves. This was kind of a process too. Also, this took me so long. I mean, I've cut it down a lot and sped it up like so much, but you can imagine how long it took to place all those things. It was like 30 seconds seconds for you. For me, it was hours. For me, it was so much time. It was worth it. But I felt kind of silly, I guess, because I was spending all this time just like dragging grave, dragging grave, dragging grave, dragging grave, doing the same thing over and over. My wrist was starting to hurt. Oh, this part's a little bit more experimental because I wasn't super sure how I wanted to lay this out. I was kind of like trying to visualize how many I wanted to do and like what to put in between them and how to do everything. What I ended up switching to in the end is we have like the first legacy on the left and the second legacy on the right. And then I put the founder sim in the middle. So these are all just the heirs, not their spouses. Sorry to the spouses. I think the first spouse is there in like the place where the first sim would be, but I put that founder sim in the main central area because she is important. Right? Like her name was Piper Potts, and she is the reason that we have all of this. She had a really like traumatic death as well. And believe it or not, this sim that I'm playing with, the one that you're looking at, is Piper Potts because I brought her back to life with life and death. I like had her be reborn. And so this is like Piper Potts 2. She's back again. And I was playing with her in the last generation kind of as like a full circle moment. But this is Piper Potts setting up the grave for all of her own descendants. And when she died the first time, in the first generation. This is like why, honestly, I think she is why I am the way that I am right now. She really changed the way that I play The Sims because I was playing on stream and I was talking about the shark pond and I was like, yeah, you can actually die in the shark pond, but I've never seen it happen. I've tried and it's never happened. I was like going on and on about how it's like so unlikely. And I was like, look here, I'll show you. I placed the shark pond down. I said, Piper, jump in there. Guess what? She died immediately. Literally instantly. She had so many kids. She had 4 kids. They were all super young and she was gone. So it put me in a real predicament in the early days of the legacy, especially because I didn't have a lot of money and now I had one less sim to help me earn it. So her husband had to like really step up to it. Eventually their son became the next heir. And I was telling this story on stream, talking about like, yeah, can you believe I did this? But it's so rare. It like never happens to me. Look, I'll show you. I placed another shark pond down. I had the son jump into the shark pond and he died instantly too. And he also had a bunch of kids. I think he had like baby twins. And so his husband was also left alone to take care of these kids forever by himself. And now I put a shark pond in like all my legacy challenge saves because it's so fun for me. But I didn't used to be like that. It's a new development. Like, well, it's not new anymore, but that's the origin story. That's my origin story, some might say. But here what I'm doing is sort of placing down some little details that remind me of that sim. So on this side, it's the not so berry side. I'm like putting stuff that fits that generation. Like that one is the green gen. The sim's name is Moss. And so I put like a little moss ball and some plants next to it. And then on this other side, this is gonna sound really bad, okay? But like, I don't really remember the first Sims as well. Like a lot of the middle of this legacy, after like Piper and her first couple of kids, it all kind of started to blur together until I played Not So Berry. So I just put like random flowers down in front of their yards. Graves? I don't know. We could call it a yard. And then on this side, I also have like a pet cemetery because I had a lot of pets over the years. This isn't meant to be creepy. It's just like I had a lot of pets. It was 21 generations, so they had a lot of Sims that had pets over a long time. They all died of natural causes, but you know, there was a bunch. So I have a whole section for pets. And then I also wanted to have kind of a fancy section for the occults because I had one of all of the occult headstones. I had a mermaid one, I had an alien. I think I even had a servo grave that I had gotten. So I kind of wanted to put those on display because they were so neat and special. So this is me trying to figure out how to lay those out and like what I was gonna do with it. I think what I ended up doing is putting one of each on display and then turning the rest of them into just normal headstones so they could get added to the pile of Sims that I knew. This pile is like Sims I kind of know but don't care about that much. And then we have like, you know, the fancy graves around them a little bit. And then I also had a bunch of, they're just like regular headstones that you can access in build mode. That's what these are back here. Those are ones that are supposed to take the place of the graves that I could not access. So there was one time where like one of my cats died and its grave just disappeared. Like I never got given it. And so I just put a headstone down in build mode as that animal, like to represent it. And then there were a couple times where the grave was like stuck on a lot. So I had found it, but I couldn't take it with me. So I just put a headstone down in build mode and like symbolized it sort of. I think also 1 or 2 of them might represent rodents of mine that had died. I don't really do that often, but you know, so we've got some rats in there, but otherwise all of these are actual Sims from the game. As I'm trying to explain this out loud, I feel ridiculous. Like, me talking about this, oh my goodness. Anyway. Now we're just going back through and we're trying to start thinking about how else to finish the landscaping and like what other stuff we want to put on the lot to fill it in. There is a lot of landscaping to do because even though the lot is very full of graves, we also have a lot of space that we want to put like plants in to fill it all up. And so I'm going back through and trying to do that. It's kind of like classic Simsie landscaping with my favorite hydrangeas and like some low-lying bushes and stuff, but it looks nice. And I did mostly white flowers because all of the headstones are mostly white. I thought it looked kind of pretty to have them together like that. In total, there's actually only 2 mausoleums. There's like one in this fancy graveyard part where we have all of my Sims, and then there's another one just kind of off to the side. And like I said, I didn't put anybody in there, but I feel like if you wanted to use this lot as a graveyard for your own Sims, what I would suggest is getting it off the gallery, and you could even like remove the headstones in this fancy section right here and remove the stuff that's on the graves, and you could use it for your own Sims, and you could put your own founder there and like stuff that pertains to them and their own family there, because this should hopefully be enough space to get you through for a while. And then you could just slowly, I don't know, like delete my graves and put your own in the rest of the space if you wanted. I don't know. But I would probably put all of the heirs and maybe their partners or like their favorite kid or I don't know, something like that, maybe their favorite pet in this part, and then like all the extras in the mausoleum so that you can have them all together but like display the good ones, you know? Anyway, I've been out of town for about a week, which I feel like I haven't gotten to update you all on yet because I've been posting like challenge videos and not just chatty videos. But I went to London for a few days to visit my husband Dan's family. My sister-in-law's having a baby, so I went to her baby shower. I did some shopping, went to some museums, you know, spent time with Dan's grandparents and everything like that, and it was a really great time. I actually extended my trip a couple of days while you're there because we wanted to have some more time to spend with his family because we don't get to see them very often, obviously, and so I didn't have videos pre-recorded for those days, so I wasn't able to upload as much as I normally would because I was in England. But I'm back now, things are back to normal. I'm really glad that I got to go. It was mentally taxing for me because I've been struggling with my OCD a lot recently, specifically with contamination OCD, and so yeah, 9-hour flight, that was a really tough experience for me, but I got through it. I did it, and I think in the long term, it was probably very helpful for me to do because I was like exposing myself to these things that I am really struggling with. So, but yeah, I'm really glad that I went. I made a quilt for the baby, which I got to give to them at the shower, and I was so excited about that. I've only made a handful of quilts in my day. I've been really trying to get more into sewing over the past couple of years and like trying to get better at sewing. So I've made a few quilts and I've gifted 3. This is the 3rd one that I have gifted. I still am not the best at it. Like, I'm not making some masterpiece, perfectly neat work of art. It's like, I would say good, but not great, you know? But I'm still early in my learning to sew, but I was really excited to get to give it to them. I also brought some books for the baby and stuff like that, which was kind of fun. This is the first baby in our family, so I'm gonna be an aunt for the first time, and I'm really excited about it. So I'm just like thinking about it a lot, obviously, so I'm sorry I keep talking about it, but it's really on my mind. And my parents stayed at my house and took care of the cats while I was gone, but it was the first time that I've been gone long enough for them to have to do Snap's IV for me, because I used to do it twice a week, and we were previously, I've traveled before while she's been on the IV. It's only been a few months, but I was able to like do the IV the day of my flight and then same day when I got home as well, and that was fine. But now she has to have it every other day instead, and so it was bound to need to be done by somebody else. And my parents had seen me do it, like they've been at my house when I did it before. I filmed videos of myself doing it for them. I showed them some videos that are on YouTube of like giving sub-Q fluids to cats. So I did everything I could to prepare them for it, and they did it a bunch of times, and it was fine except for the first time. Snap was fine, but they stabbed themselves with the needle 4 times while trying to do it. It's like almost laughable because my dad was like struggling to take the needle, the dirty needle off and replace it with a fresh needle. So I was on FaceTime with him, and it's not hard, but I think he was like overthinking it. Anyway, he poked himself once and he was like, oh my God, I poked myself. And then he poked himself again. He was like, oh my God, I poked myself. Then my mom's like, okay, let me try real quick. She pokes herself. Oh my. And then my dad is like, let me do it. He pokes himself. So it was 4 times total. And then they finally got the cap off and it was fine. Like, it was fine. And then every time after that was also fine. But that time, the first time, was extremely chaotic. So at least that's over. and like next time if they have to do it again in the future, it'll be fine again. Because I think they did it like 4 times while I was gone, or maybe only 3. I can't remember how long I was gone for and like what date anyway. But that's good. That worked out. I was really worried about that because I was worried about like how Snap would do with somebody else doing it, and like worried about it being hard for them and them not being able to do it. Like, I just was really panicky about that before I left, but it ended up being perfectly okay. And Snap is like so good. She's so easy all the time. So it was fine in the end. I guess a couple of other highlights for me over the past week or so, other than the trip, obviously, is that I've done a lot of reading because I had a couple of really long flights. And so I got to do a lot of reading while I was gone. I've been on my new medication long enough that I'm not feeling nauseous anymore every day, which is a huge change and like a huge life improvement. When I first started taking it, it was really, really bad. And I just had to get my body more adjusted to it. And as I was like slowly increasing the dosage, it would be bad again when the dosage increased. But now it's been long enough and like it's steady enough that I'm not feeling nauseous anymore. So honestly, that was really hard. Like I felt so sick all the time for like weeks straight, which was really, really tough to deal with, but I'm on the way up. So big things are happening over here. Anyway, back to the build for a second. We're almost done. You just watched me build the interior. It's kind of church-like. I wasn't really trying to make a church, but it kind of has like church energy. But that's what I built for you to be able to host the funerals. So there's space for you to like have a funeral event with your Sims in that area. Plus there's an indoor bathroom for you if you wanted to use that. And now we're doing all the terrain paint, and this took me so long. I mean, you can imagine there's so much to fill in, but I was putting some dirt underneath the pond and like putting some flowers in the pond. I put dirt underneath each individual headstone, and I cut a bunch of that out from the video because I feel like you don't need to watch me do every single one because it takes so long, even sped up very fast. It's like so ridiculous. So I put in like some of the dirt, but not all of the dirt. And then also those weird little squares that I just placed down, those are actually like VFX items. You can see them in build mode, but not in live mode. In live mode, it just looks like fireflies or like some little bugs. And so I put those around to have some more ambiance when you're here at nighttime. And then I got a few lights. I have like some big lights on the corners of the fence posts. I also have some little ones sort of trailing the entire path. It's not super bright at nighttime, but I wanted to have a little bit of lighting at nighttime. And so I did that. And now we're doing the last of the terrain paint. I'm curious to see how much I left in the video. This is just me doing all of the graves. I think there's something kind of satisfying about watching it this fast though. That's why I included it and why I included all of the grave placements. Well, not all of it, most of the grave placements as well, because it's just kind of nice to watch like this. But there are times where I was spinning the camera too much and it was horrible. So I cut those out. That's why it's not all of it, for at least the grave placement, because when the camera was spinning and I was trying to speed it up fast, it was gonna give us all headaches and make us nauseous. So I did not use those parts of the video. But now this is like last minute final touches where I'm going through and trying to put in a few like park-like details. So I've got a picnic blanket, I put a telescope so your Sims can die. I think I have at least 2 chess tables. I kind of wanted this place to feel like an actual park and like a place that you could come and hang out if you wanted to. And that's not even meant to be creepy or anything. Like, people do that. People visit their loved ones and stuff. So I wanted to give you nice areas to do it, but also it is a little bit silly that I have like a woohoo blanket down. It's a picnic blanket, which is normal. And then it, happens to have woohoo capabilities in this game, which is less normal, I think. Same as like, you can woohoo in the mausoleums if you want to. I'm not sure if that's recommended, but you could, technically speaking, do that if you so desired. I was trying to think about what to put in this middle section. I was looking at a few different statues, thinking about maybe putting one of those in the very back, or like some kind of art or topiary or something, because I have this big long middle section in between some of the graves. I did it on purpose so you could actually walk through the whole place if you wanted to, but then I wasn't sure what to put at the end. I also didn't like how the path looked when I tried putting terrain paint down the middle of it. I thought about doing like some little stepping stones. I didn't like that. I think what I ended with is just like the slightest little bit of dirt to hopefully have it look a little bit like a slightly worn path, like a kind of a desire path, but not too heavy. Basically. And I think that looks okay. So I was definitely second guessing myself a lot about this though. I was like really, really wanting this to be perfect. And so I was I was deeping it a bit too much, but I tend to do that. I like take this stuff too seriously and I'm so indecisive. And anyway, that though is pretty much the end of the build. I'm just doing a couple little last things. I found like a couple debug flowers. These are like wildflowers. And so I put a couple of those down from debug because I thought it helped to break up the big flat section of tons of graves. graves. But that's it. And so now what I want to do is pop back into the game and show you a tour of the finished product. If you're looking for it, I just called it Graveyard on the gallery. It might be helpful to filter by 64 by 64 lots on my gallery page because I don't have that many of them, so it shouldn't be too hard to find. And you can also filter by cemetery lot type if you want to do that. That should also be okay to find as well. Looks kind of weird from the preview photo because you can't really tell what's going on here. Content not installed. What am I missing? I guess we'll find out. I'm worried that it's not going to place the graves correctly, but we'll see. What if it crashes my game? Maybe you shouldn't place this lot down. Maybe nobody should use this. Oh God. Okay, you may or may not be getting a tour. It's impossible to say. Oh, it worked. I was playing my game on my phone. I was literally sat here playing Pixel Flow, just hoping that it would load. It didn't place all of the headstones, so that's really, really bad. Like super, super bad. For some reason, some of them are placed, but not all of them. Wow. Okay, well, that could make me cry. All right, it's fine. I have my save with them that I built it in, so I can show you it there instead. I probably should have just started there, to be honest. I never posted the build of this rainbow house either, so let me know if you want to see that video, because I do have that too. This is what it looks like from Managed Worlds, which I think is really fun. Okay, well, I'm gonna bring Pulp with me and we'll go see it in game. Oh, great. What if it crashes here now? I've really put myself in a bit of a predicament by doing this because the game was not designed to have this many graves. It did eventually load before, so I think I'll just wait again. Maybe I'll play my game again. Just wait and see. Oh, wait. It might work. I might have spoken too soon because it's been doing this spinning for a long time. Oh God. I didn't think it was actually gonna work. Okay. Here is my graveyard. This is what it looks like at nighttime. Honestly, the vibes of this are kind of good. I feel like you can actually really see everything a bit nicer in the dark. Oh, it's lagging so bad. Anyway, over here, this is like the special area that I built for my Sims. We have our founder right here with a special fancy grave. This is that Sim, by the way. This is Piper. Over here are all of my pet graves. We have some of the occult headstones. There's more on this side. These are Sims that I like kind of loosely know. Yeah, like Nikita Huntley. It says, don't be a cheater or you get the pawn. So I killed that Sim, I guess. This one says, random lady that died at the park. So she must have died in front of me. Barney got by neighborhood stories. That was one of my Sims at the purple gen. Here's a random lady who died at the bar. Gerald Ellsworth, I thought it wouldn't work. I must have done something to that one, I don't know what. Died at his daughter's wedding, why? In all caps I put on this one. But then like most of these are just graves that I found at people's houses, so I didn't really put labels on them. Yeah, and look, some of these that only have one name, I think these are pets with glitched headstones. Cause like obviously this one's a Sim, but Sasha and Cutie don't have a last name, so I think they're supposed to be pets, but it gave me a regular gravestone instead. Some of these things, like these little fireflies, are the VFX that I placed and I was telling you about. And then in here we have that really small area for you to go to the bathroom and also host a funeral if you wanted to. This is what it looks like in build mode during the day, just so you can see a little bit better. I'm really sorry that the graves don't all upload to the gallery. I guess that's my punishment for doing them with real graves instead of doing it with just ones from build mode, but this was for my own gameplay. It had to be done. And I think on that note, I am going to end this video right here. I hope that you enjoyed it. I probably should not recommend that you do this as well, because obviously it kind of like lags your game and causes some difficulties, but I really enjoy collecting every grave that I come across in The Sims 4. So, especially in a legacy, there's just something kind of fun about it. Just like enter at your own risk. Proceed with caution. Also, your house is gonna be very haunted and you'll never sleep a full night's rest again because there's gonna be ghosts spawning everywhere all the time. But these are the sacrifices that we are willing to make. Thank you so much for watching though. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Make sure you check out lilsimsie.shop, link down below to see my new merch. And I'm gonna catch you all tomorrow, okay? Bye everybody. Trying to think about how I'm gonna title this, like something about 1,000 great, like I don't know. This is unhinged. Unhinged, I'm sorry.